Good evening, good evening. I'm excited. We have a special guest in studio tonight, a very good treat for all of you guys here on Financial Fitness Radio. We are live in studio at the Talk 107.3 radio station here with Miss Christy Solar. How you doing tonight, Christy?
I'm doing amazing. Amazing.
I'm glad to hear it. I know, it's a good day to start the week, and I'm sure like me, you weren't Mardi Gras, you were working today.
You know what? I was not Mardi Gras today. Maybe in my brain I was Mardi Gras, but physically I was working.
Right.
So, that's a joy of a mortgage lender, right?
Yes. It's the last day of the month, and we got to get our people closed, and they're our number one priority. So hope everyone else is having fun at the parades and having a good time.
Yes, y'all eat some king cake for us and catch some beads.
I can tell you haven't eaten a lot of king cake lately because you have lost some weight since the last time. You look great.
I have eaten some king cake, but it's been little small portions.
There you go.
If I ate what I wanted to, I would have all the king cake.
Moderation is key.
Moderation is key. That's right.
Healthy habits. That's great. So Christy, I want you to just introduce yourself to our audience. Sure. We have some people who may not be in the mortgage industry, so they might not know the rock star you are in the industry. So kind of tell everybody who you are, who you work with, where they can find you.
Awesome. So I'm Christy Solar, Fairway Independent Mortgage. Fairway is a national company. I've been in the business 11 years, and I've been with Fairway 11 years. So in mortgage lending, that's rare.
Yes.
So I've really found my home. My office is in Denham and at home because we work remotely several days a week. But I'm always available on my cell, 225-505-7954. So that's where you find me.
Perfect. And tell me, so 11 years in the business, when did you really get your meteoric rise to where you are today? I saw last year you did almost $100 million in closings.
$100 million.
Yes.
That was personal production. Now I have 5 amazing women, and I have to give them a shout out because they're going to either watch on Facebook or they're listening on the radio. Claire, Danae, Kelsey, Hannah, and Bailey. They are my loan officer assistants.
Yes.
So most companies have a number of loan officers that go out and get business. Mine is me, but I could not do me without them.
Right.
They actually do the hard work,
the grunt
behind
work,
the scenes,
the stuff we don't want to do, honestly.
Yeah. So I think my start was really in 2011. I worked for the Bank of Greensburg. I did consumer loans. I did cattle loans. Go to the stockyard and all that.
Okay.
And in 2011, that bank was closing, and somebody said you ought to do mortgages. And I thought, I don't even know how to spell FHA, literally. Back then we had a rate sheet. I did not know how to read it. So I interviewed with Fairway, and I got licensed in May. Well, in my first full year in 2012, I did 100 units, which is a lot. Right?
It's a lot for a first year.
And then I started building a team, and last year we did 400 and something units, 80 to 85% Govy, and 96% purchases.
Which is huge because it was a big refi boom in the last 2 years.
It was a big refi boom, but I'll tell you what, I had to make a decision when the rates really went down for refis. Either you focus on refi or you focus on purchase. And you've been an awesome lender. You know that it's really hard to do both.
Right.
So I just focused on the purchase business.
Yeah. So. Which in the market we're in today was a smart decision.
Yes.
And we're seeing rates move back up.
That's right.
And being primarily purchased. What I've found is a lot of the top loan officers in that 1% where we are, a lot of them have a good balance of purchase and refi, and they're more heavily weighted purchase.
Yes.
Because that is more sustainable over market corrections and market fluctuations like we're having right now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I hear so much about a negative market. I think being negative is a mindset. Right? Mm-hmm. So, of course, if you say it's a negative market, then you're going to find the negative.
What you say,
that's right.
You speak into existence.
It does, but I actually look at it as a positive market because when COVID hit, a lot of lenders automatically changed their credit score, right? Mm-hmm. It's hard to remember back.
Oh, I do. Yeah,
back
very
then,
well.
But it was like
I got a lot of business those first few months that was denied overnight because
half, 640 or 660.
Exactly. Half our not more than half. Most of our competition jumped their scores to 660 in panic, and we still had 1 or 2 channels that didn't change, and we were able to keep facilitating those buyers, because a lot of them had contracts on homes, and then overnight they were told they couldn't get a loan.
That's right. That's right. And so I see as the rates go up, you're going to find that, you know, it's easier now for some home buyers to purchase because we're seeing lower credit scores, higher debt to income. We even have grant programs that offer up to 55% debt to income. So there's a lot of opportunity. Now, of course, it's a little harder to find a home, but it's just about being consistent and just being patient.
Yeah. Well, and I want to go into that a little bit because, like you said, and I'm a big believer in that too, there is a lot of bad advice that I think is given out there. Susie Ormond and some of these big names that speak, you know, they talk about the housing market is bad, and in some places it's better to rent. And it's just bad advice that's being given. And people, I've heard a lot of people, they're going to wait for a market correction, and they think the housing prices are going to somehow magically come down. And when we had the housing collapse after the subprime market in 07, 08, and 09, that was a different collapse. That was a housing-related correction, and that was when there was a ton of inventory.
Right.
The difference today is supply and demand. And there's limited supply of houses. There's very limited inventory, so the houses that are hitting the market move quickly. And I've talked to dozens of people that asked my advice if they should wait. And I told them, you should have done something last year, because whoever was telling you to wait, rates are a point higher than just a few months ago.
Right.
And I showed them the numbers. I was like, at $300,000 and $250,000, I said, if that $300,000 house dropped by $50,000, which is a nice size drop in value, you're still paying more today than just a few months ago, because you're going to have a much higher interest rate even at a lower price. And that's if the price goes down 20-25%. So what are you seeing, and what is your advice to people who are listening to those types of information, or people who are on the fence, should I buy now or wait? What are you telling clients?
Well, I always say there's no one that knows what's going to happen, right? Nobody knew what was going to happen. I'll be honest, when COVID hit, I thought we would never do a mortgage loan until it was over, right?
It was scary.
It was scary. I always say that, you know, the time to buy is whenever you are financially ready. Because if you think about in the 80s, what were the interest rates back then?
Double digits.
They were double digits, and people were still buying a house, because at the end of the day, the rates that we're quoting are over 30 years. Most people are not going to live in the same home 30 years, and they're also not going to just pay the minimum payment for 30 years. Therefore, they can kind of control the interest they pay. So I always say, you know, some people weren't ready last year, financially weren't ready.
Right.
If you're ready to buy, it's always a great time to buy.
Yeah.
Statistically, even though the rates went up, we still have statistically low rates.
Oh my gosh. We just got absolutely spoiled rotten.
We did, but it was
with 2 and 3% rates.
Right?
Yes. Now people are panicking because rates are up in the 3s and going to the 4% range, which I remember when we had a huge refi boom when they hit the 4s.
Right.
That was a record-breaking low rate.
Yeah.
And now people think that a 4% rate is somehow high.
Yes, I think it's about knowledge, right? Knowledge in, you know, yes, rates are going up, but the amount per month is not drastically changing. It is an excellent time to buy if you're patient and you wait for the right house.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, kudos to a lot of our good realtors. I think a huge part of that process is really finding the right realtor.
It is.
And having someone who knows how to get a contract accepted, and someone who understands what factors on making those offers will help get their offer accepted. Because I can't tell you how many contracts I get, inexperienced agents, and I've had them sitting on my desk for 3 and 4 and 6 months, and they can't get an offer accepted. And then I've got some of my rock star agents, and they're not just going a ton over asking price, but they're getting people under contract and getting those deals accepted because they know how to win an offer.
That's
and they know what's important. And so many times the agent is a key part of the process. They make your job and my job easier.
Yes.
And the wrong agent can make our job very difficult.
That's right.
So,
just like the wrong lender, because the fully pre-approved is key in this market.
Absolutely.
You can't do a pre-qualification. You have to have all of your documents reviewed, because I'm sure, as with you, listing agents are calling me and saying, hey, we just want to make sure you've looked at everything,
Absolutely.
you ran the file, so super important.
Yeah. No, absolutely. The right agent and the right lender, that's your dynamic duo as a buyer in this market. Yes, exactly. They will make or break you.
Yeah.
And also knowing what you're looking for, what you want, and having a good lender who can advise you. I always say go local with someone who's familiar with the market you're buying in.
Yeah.
That way you're talking to an expert there.
And also knows the agents.
Exactly.
Listing agents, buyers agents, super important.
Absolutely. So guys, stay tuned. After this short commercial break, we'll be back with more financial fitness and Miss Christy Solar here in studio. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Financial Fitness here with Christy Solar, live in studio.
Everybody.
We are salivated on the best energy drink you can get. So we need our energy in the mortgage business.
We need our energy. We had coffee, now I have salivate.
That's it. That is it. We don't work bankers' hours, so to get through those long days, and sometimes 7 days a week, I joke, my phone never stops.
Never stops.
And you guys who know me or who've worked for me or who work with me now, I always say our job is the second most important job behind doctors.
Yes.
Because we're dealing with people's homes.
We are.
And luckily, they're not always coming to us when they have a problem like a doctor either. So we can be the good guy all the time.
That's right.
If we do our job right.
Yeah, anytime you're dealing with people's finances, their shelter, it is a 7-day-a-week job, because that is a lot of stress for a lot of people.
Absolutely. So I always tell my guys, that they'll tell me, I got a lead, or I got a call, or they were texting me at 9 o'clock last night or 10 o'clock last night, and I said, it just tells me they're motivated.
That's right. So, I'll tell you a funny story. I did a loan for my very best friend who now works for me, and we always laugh because before she worked for me, she was the first-time home buyer.
Yeah.
And she called me one night late over $11, but it is a big deal, right? So you need people who are going to be there for you, because it's a big deal when you're dealing with finance.
Absolutely. And for most people, there's no bigger investment than their home. And like we said, if you weren't listening on the first segment, it's I don't think it's necessarily just a seller's market like people are saying, because you have record low interest rates.
That's right.
Which I call it a balanced market. Inventory is a little low, so you have to move quickly. But as a buyer, don't get discouraged and don't listen to that negative media. I don't even watch the news. We were talking about that on the break before the show.
Okay, I'm going to admit this on Facebook Live and on radio, but I didn't even know what was going on in Ukraine until somebody mentioned it to me, because I have just found what I focus on multiplies.
Yes, and if you focus on negativity.
I try not to focus on things I can't change, and it's not that I don't care and I'm praying for those people, but when it first happened, I had to have people tell me, because I just don't watch the news, because with our job, people are relying on us all day to bring, calm down situations and be positive and joyful, and I just find that what I focus on, it multiplies.
100%. And same here. So I learned a lot of my news from watching the bond and the stock market, because I do pay attention to what affects my clients.
Me too, yes.
And so I'm very in tune to the financial markets.
Yes, when you wake up and it's dropped on Robinhood or whatever you use, something's going on, and then that's when I'll look, because we do care about everything. But it is, when you're in a job that is 7 days a week, you have to protect your mindset, you have to protect your physical body, but also your mental health.
So you mentioned mindset, and so I want to jump into that a little bit, because you've quickly in a short career over like you said 100 units your first year, which most people I know who've been in the business as long as you and I still haven't got to that number. And I would love to know how you get your mindset in the right place in the mornings, and what's made you so successful in this business.
So I'm going to go way back because I know my daddy is listening, but I was raised in a wonderful household and great parents. And
he's watching the show tonight,
He's watching the show too.
Hey, Dad.
But in my 20s, like a lot of people do, I made some really bad decisions. It was nobody's fault but my own. Got into some drugs and some really, really bad decisions, and really just went off the deep end. I know there were times my parents didn't know where I was, and it was a really scary point. Well, long story short, I ended up being pregnant with my first beautiful daughter, Claire, who's also watching and listening, and that really changed my life. But for so long, Brandon, I let those, no matter how successful I got, I knew that I was going to be successful because I had children and I just had to be, right? Sink or swim. And for those listening, I don't define success as money.
Right.
Money can come and money can go.
It's a byproduct.
It's a byproduct of it. And for so long, even when I did those 100 units, I remember sitting in the hotel room. We went to an awards banquet and I got the Rookie of the Year award, and I was miserable. And I thought, if I don't wake up tomorrow, it'll be okay, because I had experienced success, but my inside didn't match my outside. My mental health was not allowing me to have joy, because I was always thinking, you're not worthy. You know, if they only knew who you were and what you did and the life you lived. And so I chased success for the wrong reasons. And I didn't have my mental health, and therefore my outward appearance, from looking at me today, you wouldn't know that I'd weighed 260 pounds at one time. And then when I started, going on this weight loss journey, I was at 245. And I had success by what the world defines success. I was doing a lot of units when I had the weight loss surgery 4 years ago, and that's not a quick fix. That's a tool.
No, I've seen people get that, and within a year they're back up to where they started, because they don't eat well, they don't exercise, they don't practice anything else.
Well, what happens is your mental health is where you have to start.
Absolutely.
And I had a wake-up call. I realized that we had a beautiful house, we had a beautiful life, we drove great cars, and again, I thought that was success.
But you weren't fulfilled.
But I was not fulfilled, and I couldn't figure it out because, my life was always trying to get all of these things, and then I realized that it started with God, my spiritual life, but then it also started with how I felt about me. And I realized that I had not dealt with that 21, 22, 23-year-old girl that made a lot of mistakes and felt unworthy. And when I started reading The Miracle Morning, Hal Elrod, that was a key turning point for me. That's when I decided to let my inside match my outside. That's when I started getting the tattoos. Sorry, Daddy. But started becoming who I was, right? And The Miracle Morning is starting your day with gratefulness. And that's when I stopped watching the news. And again, it's not that I don't care, but it's that I started putting me first. And so many times we think that we're selfish when we put ourselves first, but as women, as mothers, as men, as fathers, you can't take care of other people when you are not healthy.
So I was going to say, you have to, it's just like on the airplane, put your oxygen mask on first, because if you pass out, you're no good to your kid or anyone else.
Right. So I started this morning routine, and sometimes you might do it 7 minutes, and sometimes you can do it an hour. And it is 7 things, and I'll go through it really quickly because everybody that knows me knows that I'm really big on this. The first, it's SAVERS. So the first is silence, just sitting in silence, no phone, it can be prayer, meditation. The next is affirmation. How many times do we talk that negative self-talk? It's our default thinking.
Yep.
Then the next is visualization. I visualize my entire day.
Yeah.
So I visualized that we were going to rock it out tonight. I visualized the hard phone calls I have to make during the day. I visualized sitting on the back porch this afternoon with my husband when I get home and just, looking at the stars. I visualized my entire day. The next is exercise, and I'm not going to lie on radio. Don't always exercise every day, but when I'm on the phone, I walk. I walk around the house. I rarely sit down. That is exercising, right? So SAVER, and then reading. I went to a magnet program school and always said I'll never read a lot when I get older. But someone told me the more you learn, the more you earn. So I started filling my mind with Andy Andrews, positive books, Michael Mayer, The 7 Levels of Communication, Hal Elrod, Miracle Morning. So really positive books. And I learned a trick. If you set your clock for 15 minutes, you can do anything in 15 minutes. And if you read 15 minutes a day, you could read 15 to 18 books a year. It is crazy what you can do.
Yeah.
And then the last is writing. I found out that when I wrote down what I was grateful for, even if it was that, that celebrate or that drink or that, sometimes you have to really search for things you're grateful for, but if you'll write it down, it becomes real. And when I started with myself, doing a 7-minute morning routine, it really changed my outlook and changed my life.
Yeah. Well, and you said a lot of things I preach in our sales meetings, in our team huddles, which is positive energy, starting off with positive affirmations in the morning. Today's gonna be a great day. Today I'm going to help a lot of families. Today we're going to close some loans and we're going to help some people find their first home, for their dream home. And all of those things, again, you speak it into existence. Writing it down makes it real.
Yes.
We talk about that. Sometimes goals need a deadline. They need to be written down and become more attainable. So I love that. And tell everybody the book again, just so they can write it down.
Hal Elrod, The Miracle Morning, and I'm going to tag him in this post after we share it. But it's an amazing, it is now an international movement.
Yes.
There's a Facebook page that you can join with hundreds of thousands of people. And, being from the South, I always thought like meditation and affirmations, like it was really weird to me. And so, it usually takes 50, well, I have my regional manager says 52 days to make a habit. But I'm telling you, it works. If you'll put those sticky notes on your mirror, I always say,
Oh, no, sorry to interrupt you. We just have to take a short commercial break. But you guys stay tuned. We're going to be talking the Miracle Morning routine and more business and life tips from my good friend Christy Solar.
Awesome.
Stay tuned for more financial fitness. Welcome back to Financial Fitness. Chrissy was just saying she loves the music.
I love the music.
Charles could be a killer DJ for parties too. He plays some great intros on our breaks.
I'm pretty cheap to hire, so just
hey Charles,
you just have to go through Brandon. He's my manager.
That's it. You guys need a good DJ. Charles is up for hire.
That's awesome.
Just contact Brandon Aberdeen.
That's it.
He'll take care of all that.
He'll take care of it.
You can find me easily online, anywhere, anytime. We will have Charles there for your next party. So, you guys who were listening on our prior segment, we were talking about the Miracle Morning and how that was pivotal to your success and your mindset too, not just your increase in business success. But I see you have that energy, that vibrance, that smile that's infectious, and like I always say, energy is contagious.
It is.
And it positive or negative, and you and I both don't watch the news in the morning.
Yes.
You and I are both believers in that morning energy, a morning ritual, and it's something I have to control my energy sometimes because there is so much stress, and then managing 20 employees and dealing with everything that goes on. Sometimes I would allow negativity to sink in, and I'd have to go back and kind of channel it and control that. So I think that's an absolutely incredible tip for everyone out there, and I think everybody who's listening to the show, either download the audio book if you're not a reader, but
it's short.
I think the morning, it's the Morning Miracle.
It's actually called the Miracle Morning.
Miracle Morning
by Hal Elrod. And I think what's so important is when you get, there's so much noise, right? There's noise at work. There's noise at home. There's noise in the world. I think that we don't slow down and just spend time with ourselves.
Yes.
And then if you don't know yourself, You cannot be authentically who you were divinely meant to be. And I think if you look at most successful people, whether it's successful teachers, successful, whatever they're successful in, because again, I want to say, success is not defined as money. There are a lot of miserable people with a lot of money, right? But when you look at those successful people and the people that you gravitate to,
yes,
those are usually the people who authentically are who they are.
Yes, right? And they're usually genuinely happy.
Genuinely happy, and I don't feel that you can do that. I know it took me a long time. I'm clicking on 50 years old, and I fought who I was because I wanted to be who I thought everybody else wanted me to be, right? Dress a certain way, act a certain way, because I worried about what the world thought.
Mm-hmm.
And not that it's not important what people think of you, but honestly, it's none of your business.
You can't control it.
You cannot control it. And when I realized that I could be honest, I could be authentically me. Now that's kindness and love and joy, and not always kindness and love and joy, because Mike Solar is listening and he knows that I'm human. But I try to spend that time with myself in the morning, because if I let the world take over my life before I get out of bed, then my whole day's shot.
Oh yeah, and the world, when you look at social media and when you look at a lot of people's perceptions and the way you would think the world is the most toxic, negative, and it's really, if you stop and what you focus on, like we talked about, what you speak or what you focus on increases, and the things you focus on will be what you see, and if you focus on negativity, you're going to find plenty of it.
That's right.
But if you focus on positivity, you're going to find a ton of it too.
That's right. That's right. So if you think about our children, when they are young, they have no fear, right?
And the world is a beautiful, vibrant,
is a beautiful place.
perfect place for most of them.
But then what happens as we get older, we let the noise come in, and that's our default thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, change isn't instant. It is the processes that follow it that we get stuck at. You can make a decision right now to change, but then you have to put everything into place. And you talked earlier about goals, and I want to talk about that, because a goal is just something we set our sight on, but a vision is everything that we do between now and that goal. And I tell everybody, it's why at the first of the year the parking lot to the gym is really full.
Packed.
Right? Because everybody has a goal and a resolution.
But by March, it's back to normal.
It is the vision that they're missing. The vision is the roadmap. And that's why if you'll make like vision boards and all that, and you can see it every day. A vision is your plan to get you from where you are now to where you want to be. And that's what my time in the morning does for me.
Yeah.
That's why I am a lot calmer than I was in 2011 and 2012 and 2013 doing those loans. I lived a life of stress.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying there's not stress, but I realize
how to
life
deal
is
with it,
whatever you want it to be.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't control the stimulus, but you can control how you react to it.
Right.
And that was something that I've worked hard, and sometimes I still have to work hard at not allowing a negative reaction to any kind of problem, because that's what we do most of the day is fix problems.
We do. Yeah.
And so the people who fix the biggest problems get the biggest paychecks.
Yeah, right.
So fixing problems is an everyday thing. So why get upset when there's problems? Because if there were none, you and I wouldn't have a job. Amazon would be doing mortgages.
That's right. Well, I think people are scared of success. There is a lot of fear in success. And I always say with fear, I've heard this, you have two choices, right? You can face it or you can run from it.
Yeah.
And I find that people are scared of success because they're scared of stress, they're scared, but you can be successful in any job and still have a peaceful life. That is a choice, but it is a mindset.
I had a girl that used to work for us, and her numbers were not where they needed to be. They weren't bad, but they weren't where they and weren't near her potential. And when I was coaching her, she said, "I don't want your stress." And I thought to myself, I was like, I'll take my stress any day over the stress of being broke and not knowing how I'm going to pay my bills, on top of everything else that comes with that. So but she was looking at it like I had all these and all these other things I had to deal with, and with more loans and with more success and with more came more problems, and it's kind of like that more money, more problems philosophy, which is not true. It's a negative. I read a book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind.
Yes.
And again, it was about mindset and how people have a negative connotation about money, and they don't even know subconsciously things that they were taught. A lot of people think rich people are jerks. 99% of rich people are not jerks. They're some of the most giving and truly genuine people you'll meet. If anything, like I always say, money gives you the ability to be more of what you are. Yeah. So if you're a philanthropist, if you're someone who likes to donate their time to charity, if you like to do missionary work and help people, you can do 10 times the amount of that if you have the financial resources versus if you're working 60, 70, 80 hours a week to barely get by.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but people are programmed to have a negative thought toward money. Money's the root of all evil. That's a terrible, terrible cliche statement that's not, it's taken out of context.
And it holds people back from their potential.
Yeah, it's taken out of context, and so people don't even realize they will subconsciously self-sabotage themselves away from success because they have these negative viewpoints on what success even is, or of successful people, because they haven't met truly good successful people who've mentored them and told them those things. So that's definitely again, the morning ritual is huge. And the one thing we're going to have another break in just a minute.
Wow, this is fun,
so,
guys.
I know, the time flies when you're having fun.
Show, huh?
So we'll get you back on for sure. So again, talking about mindset, guys, a big thing for me and Christy is how you react to certain things, and of course what you focus on.
Yeah.
And stop.
I would love to talk about that when we come back, because bad things are going to happen. We're human. Right?
Yes, it's how you react to those, and then what you do in reaction to those that's key. So we're going to continue with this after this short commercial break. You guys stay tuned for more Financial Fitness. Welcome back. We were just talking on the break. Our final segment. The segments have flown
by when you're having fun, right?
I said, I don't know if we do a good job interviewing, but all of our guests always comment that it went by so quick.
It feels like we've been here 10 minutes. So that's a good thing, right?
And like you said,
I want to thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
It's my pleasure. And when you're talking about things that you enjoy, that you love, you guys who are listening on the radio can't see the smiles and the fun being had behind the microphones, but these are things that you believe in, and I think too that's why it's so easy to talk about this stuff.
And I think also mindset is just such a key for me because it saved my life.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that. I know you mentioned the drugs and that negative time in your life. How did you get through that? What resources?
Well, I think
what got you through?
Now, of course, when we talk drugs now, and my shout out to my brother, he has a sober living homes. Back then it was not I don't want to say an addiction for me. It was a lot of partying, a lot of drugs. It is so different now. I don't even pretend to know what people go through, but it was a lifestyle that I was addicted to. That's what I say. I was addicted.
The fast, fun lifestyle.
Addicted to the lifestyle. But the moment that I found out that I was pregnant with that baby, I just knew that I had to make a choice. But what happens a lot of times is our past can hold us back. Because although I made a choice in an instant to have a healthy baby and to be a great mom, and not always a great mom, but I try my hardest. But I made a choice, but I was focusing on everybody around me. And I will tell you, for 20 plus years, I did not forgive myself for the choices I made.
Yeah.
I did not forgive myself for the way I hurt my parents and my family. I did not forgive myself for the way I hurt people that loved me. And I held on to that. And I chased success in a negative way, Brandon.
Right.
I chased the money, and I chased the feeling of winning, but it never fulfilled me. And that's why I have such a passion. I have a tattoo that says Amplify Hope.
Okay.
And it is a passion to give people hope.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people are stuck because they have not forgiven themselves. Right?
Yes.
We are so easy to forgive other people. We are so easy to let the mistakes of people we love go. But we are our hardest critic on ourselves. And I heard this saying, I don't know where it came from, but if someone talked to your children the way you talk to yourself, you would have a problem with it. And I realized that no matter how successful I got, money, cars, whatever, I did not like me.
Oh, wow.
I did not like me. And so, you know, I had a lot of health problems. I had 3 strokes in 15 years because of some blood issues. And I was miserable. And everybody saw me as happy. But on the inside, like I said, there were days that I didn't care if I woke up the next day. And I know that's harsh, but I speak my truth.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you cannot love and motivate and have the change that you want in others if they can't see and know who you really were.
Yeah.
And I want that for people. I want them to know that you can change your life with just a decision. And I started reading Andy Andrews' books. He wrote The Noticer. He has a great following as well. And like I said, How Well Rod.
Yeah.
But it started with me. And we hear that a lot, don't we, you guys, by the camera and the mic. We hear that it all starts with you. It does. It starts with your heart. But if your heart and your mind are not in it, you will not win it.
Yeah.
And I don't care. That's why you see people who are really successful, you know, getting onto drugs or committing suicide. It's because what the world sees is not always
behind
who
the
we
curtain.
are.
Yeah.
And I'm not bringing it down because I'm excited about the changes that I made and the changes that, you know, those listening can make in their life. But it starts with you.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so fulfilled. That's why I'm excited to be here, because I made changes. And I'm no longer stuck. I'm no longer embarrassed of what I did years ago. And I'm you know, it was a part of my journey to become who I was divinely meant to be.
Absolutely. And I think that's key. And a lot of your most influential and some of your best mentors and coaches and people have gone through real struggles and real adversity.
Yes.
And it's the ones, you know, the cliche, it's not getting knocked down, but how you get
That's
up.
right.
And I always like the fall forward philosophy,
Right.
you know, that you hear is failure is part of success. Like, you have to fail or you're not ever going to succeed.
Well, as Andy
in
Andrews
anything.
says, that's the valley, right? Failure is the valley, and sometimes we always want the mountaintop, but we forget about the lush grass in the valley that lets us scale our next peak. Because I think that there's, you know, I've had things happen. I mean, you know, we're sitting here talking about mindset. Let me tell y'all, bad things happen every day.
Oh,
bad
yeah.
things have happened in my family. Bad things are always going to happen. But it is how you look at it. You can get stuck in it, or you can know there's always light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to find the light and be it.
Yeah.
And that is the thing. When I have things happen now, I tell myself, look, this is not good. Like, I don't want to be here, but I always know that everything bad is eventually going to end, right? Because if you look at something bad that happened to you maybe 5 years ago, it doesn't feel as bad anymore, does
No,
it?
they're bumps. They're just bumps in the
We
road.
get stuck. And that is the difference in a mindset, a positive mentality, is that you're going to have bad things happen.
Yeah.
But you either get stuck in it. Now, I have gotten stuck lately in a few things for longer than I would like to, but guess what?
We all have.
Because I'm more mentally strong now than I was 20, 30, getting on 40 years ago, right? I mean, like, I'm telling my age here,
Right.
you know? But because I now know that I control my future, I mean, is that powerful?
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
if we get up every day and we don't realize that we can, in an instant, control. Now, we don't control what happens to us, but we control our response.
Yes.
We control our reaction. And I find, you know, I always laugh, and my niece is probably watching this. I've had a lot of therapy lately. But I realized that I used to be reactive.
Oh, yeah. Most
and now
people
I'm
are reactive.
responsive, right?
Yes.
I sit back and think about, how is this going to affect this person or me? because if we're reactive, we're not always giving our best self.
No, you're on the defensive,
Right.
be it versus being proactive, like we
Right.
teach and
Right.
just in our job. Being proactive with how you approach your day,
Yes.
and how you
Yes.
set out what you need to do that day. Because if you're just reacting, then you're always
You're not
just
calming the situation.
yes, you're always on the defensive. You're always rebounding after something happens,
Yeah.
but you're never directing yourself in the direction you
I
need to
think
go, and that's where I
peace
think you
is-
lose a
yeah,
lot of your
yeah.
productivity.
Well, I think peace is found, and there's a lot of people that are not, we're talking about business today too, and a lot of people are not finding their success because they are not finding their inner peace. And when you find that and you learn to control it, that is where your true power is. You can do anything you want to do with a mindset change.
Yeah. Well, and I think a saying that I use a lot at work, and it hit me hard many years ago when I wasn't happy with my income. And it was, the world pays you what you're worth.
Yes.
And if you're not making enough income, the sad reality is you don't have enough value to the world around you, or you're not providing enough. So I think a lot of that, the self-development, the personal development, those personal growth, and doing something of value to everyone around you.
Yeah.
And if you find that you're doing more and more for people, and you're providing great value, and you're enriching the lives of others, like I said earlier, the money's a byproduct.
Yeah.
So if you want that abundance, then you have to give.
You have to give.
Yes.
And I realize that. I mean, I've said several times my daddy is watching, and my mom and daddy gave to everybody. And I realized that we never wanted for anything.
Mm-hmm.
We were always happy and blessed. And I don't care if you have a little. If you just give a little, you will find so much joy, and that's going to motivate you
Yes.
to want more.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so it's funny how much joy it's a almost selfish. Like we said, you can be selfish when you're enjoying the act of giving,
Yes.
because you get so much joy in return. So it's almost a selfish pleasure, because you get enjoyment out of helping
Yeah.
people and helping families and helping your staff and your
And
employees.
that is true
And-
success, right? If
and-
you make enough money that you can bless others, and again, I'm not talking about millions. I'm talking about if you make $40,000 or $50,000 a year and you manage your money and you're able to give to others, you're going to find so much joy.
Yes.
And you're going to feel successful, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, again, you guys who've been listening, Christy, we are out of time, so I want to let everyone know where they can find you again before we close the show.
So you can find me Fairway Independent Mortgage. You can find me on Facebook, Christy Solar, and you can find me by cell. My cell's everywhere. So
Yeah.
225-505-7954 or www.loansbychristy.com.
I like that website. And to all of you guys out there listening, we thank you for tuning in tonight. You guys stay tuned next Monday, same time, same place, for more financial fitness. And thanks again, Christy, for
Thanks
being on
for
the show.
having me.